Good evening and welcome to Superscreen News at 6, reaching you live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria. I am Olamide Onwoka. Many thanks for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has written to the Senate to confirm the appointments of 23 members of the National Populations Commission, NPC. In the separate letters, which was read by the Senate President Bukola Saraki at the plenary on Tuesday, the President also sought legislative approval for the commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and 2 non-judicial practitioners as members of the Federal Judicial Service Commission. The NPC nominees are Nwanne Nwabuisi, Clifford Zira, Chidi Ezioke, Issa Buratai, Charles Ogwa, Richard Odibo, and Okereke Nwabuchi, amongst others. Now, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has expressed fears over the increasing incidence of election meddling through the use of technology in many countries. The INEC chairman disclosed this in Abuja at the opening ceremony of a conference attended by the electoral management bodies and ECOWAS members and the South African Development Community states.
The deployment of technology has also empowered citizens more than ever before to organize, mobilize, and protect their mandates using various social media platforms to track result transmission and even undertake parallel vote tabulation. At the same time, the deployment of technology has its numerous challenges. Given the deficit of infrastructure and expertise in many countries in our sub-regions and the regularity with which elections are conducted, concerns have been raised about cost, choice, and effectiveness of technology. Given the high stakes involved in conducting elections in developing countries, electoral commissions must understandably be worried about the twin issues of communication and security, especially in situations where data reside with and is indirectly transmitted to the tallying centers through offshore vendors rather than exclusively controlled within national boundaries by the election management bodies. We have to contend with the disturbing but rapidly increasing incidence of election meddling through the deployment of counter-technology on a global scale by both state and non-state actors.
On his part, the European Union ambassador to Nigeria, Ketil Karison, advised Nigeria to implement the electoral system as globally recommended.
We are at a stage in history where democratic and fundamental human rights principles continue to come under scrutiny on the world stage, in Africa, and to a certain extent within European borders alike. So we should never take it easily, the continued consolidation of democracy. We should never take our democratic rights and privileges for granted. On the contrary, we need to continue nourishing the democratic path. And that is exactly what the conference today is all about, and that is why it is so extremely important to have this debate and to share information and experiences. So here in Nigeria, ahead of the 2019 general elections, you are, of course, at a pivotal moment that allows the country to take important steps to improve the electoral processes. I'm told by the chairman that he has conducted, I think, 179 elections, big or small, since the last general election. So we know that there is a lot of valuable experience to build on, but there is still more that can be done in terms of implementation of electoral reform. We call out again to decision makers in Nigeria to carefully listen to the ECOWAS principles of implementing reforms in due time and not immediately before the elections, to make sure that all the necessary reforms are conducted in time.
The House of Representatives has clashed with a former member, Dr. Junaid Mohammed, who served in the Second Republic over the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018. The controversial bill, particularly Section 25 seeks reorder the timetable for the elections ahead of the 2019 polls. The bill, which fixes the presidential poll as last in the schedule, has been the subject of disagreement between President Muhammadu Buhari and the National Assembly. While President Buhari has withheld his assent to the bill, the National Assembly insists on having the law in place. He said the lawmakers are simply shamelessly seeking re-election as they don't care about the people. He explained that it is the responsibility of those who doubted the power of the National Assembly to make the laws and go to court. The Nigerian Army has constituted a 10-man panel to investigate allegations made by a former Chief of Army Staff, Theophilus Danjuma, against the Armed Forces of Nigeria. You will recall that Danjuma had accused the Nigerian Army of colluding with armed bandits and other criminal elements in Taraba State. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, said this during the inauguration of the committee in Abuja. He charged the committee to focus on the crux of the matter and expedite actions towards unraveling the true situation of things.
Recently, on the 24th of March 2018, a former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Danjuma, retired, speaking during the convocation ceremony of the Taraba State University, alleged that the armed forces of Nigeria collude with the armed bandits and other criminal elements in the society. Statements of this nature will damage the reputation of the armed forces of Nigeria, and thus cannot be ignored if the Nigerian Army is to continue to earn the trust and respect of the Nigerian populace. Thus, it became imperative for the Nigerian Army to set up this panel to confirm the veracity or otherwise of these allegations. You will agree with me that it is the Nigerian Army that is well spread across the country and deployed virtually all the states of the country for one internal security operations or the other. The task at hand is a burning national issue, hence you are to treat this assignment with the seriousness it deserves. To this end, by the powers conferred on me as the Chief of Army Staff, I hereby officially inaugurate the constituted panel to investigate the allegations made against the Nigerian Army in the course of operations in Taraba State.
Buratai charged the committee members to visit all flashpoints and interact with stakeholders in Taraba State and come up with a comprehensive report. Speaking on behalf of the committee, the Major General Joseph Nimiel assured the Army Chief of an exhaustive and revealing exercise.
Recently, on the 24th of March 2018, a former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Danjuma, retired, speaking during the convocation ceremony of the Taraba State University, alleged that the armed forces of Nigeria collude with the armed bandits and other criminal elements in the society. Statements of this nature will damage the reputation of the armed forces of Nigeria, and thus cannot be ignored if the Nigerian Army is to continue to earn the trust and respect of the Nigerian populace. Thus, it became imperative for the Nigerian Army to set up this panel to confirm the veracity or otherwise of these allegations. You will agree with me that it is the Nigerian Army that is well spread across the country and deployed virtually all the states of the country for one internal security operations or the other. The task at hand is a burning national issue, hence you are to treat this assignment with the seriousness it deserves. To this end, By the powers conferred on me as the Chief of Army Staff, I hereby officially inaugurate the constituted panel to investigate the allegations made against the Nigerian Army in the course of operations in Taraba State.
A group under the aegis of Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria and its affiliates has urged the Nigerian Army to extend its Operation Cat Race by 60 days to enable the military effectively tackle insecurity in some parts of the country. The group at a media conference held in Abuja sought the approval of the President, Muhammadu Buhari, in the extension of the exercise.
When this crisis started, most of the community cried out that the presidency is quiet, the military is quiet, everybody is quiet. What is happening? Are there no people to secure us anymore? Our lives are not secured. And the government responded immediately by instituting this operation.
If it's extended, there will be a leeway towards the communities coming together and interface with the security agencies. As it is, there's an established cordial relationship between the Nigerian military and the community, the host community, which has been affected by most of the crisis.
Operation Cat Race is a military exercise launched in February to tackle security issues at flashpoints in Benue, Taraba State, Nasarawa and Niger, as well as Kaduna State. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the All Progressives Congress APC and the National Executive Committee to grant waivers to members of the outgoing National Working Committee seeking re-election. The president, who gave the directive in Abuja at the commencement of the emergency NEC meeting of the party, said the works of the committee shows the essence of commitment and the ideals of the good people of APC and a view to consolidating on good governance in the overall interest of Nigerians. The president said current executives should be free to run for elective positions in the party if they so wish and permitted by the constitution.
The current executives should be free to vie for elective positions in the party if they so wish, as permitted by our party's constitution. However, considering the provision of Article 31, Section 1, subsection 3 of our party constitution, which requires any serving officer desirous of seeking re-election to resign from office 30 days before election, I am not sure of the practicality of present serving officers' ability to meet this condition. Accordingly, the party may consider granting waivers to party executives at all levels so that they are not disenfranchised from participating in the elections should they wish to do so, provided this does not violate our rights or our rules.
The national chairman of the party, John Oyegun, urged the party leadership to painstakingly study the recommendations of the president and act on it.
Few days, I have read reports and all manner of comments and opinions that have tried to frame the majority decision of NEC as an attempt to primarily secure tenure elongation for John Oyegun and the end of UC.
Edo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has backed calls by former Governor Adams Oshomole on President Muhammadu Buhari to adopt a ruthless measure against the alleged looters. During an interview with journalists, Oshomole advised President Muhammadu Buhari not to show mercy to alleged looters who has plunged the nation's treasury. In a statement signed by the PDP Publicity Secretary Chris Nehikera, the party said the Edo State PDP supports Oshomole's calls on the president and that he should be the first person to go under the knife. Reacting, Oshomole said he had no case to answer anywhere in the world as he claimed innocence in all ramifications. A man has been hit by a car at the Ikorodu Expressway. The victim was hit while trying to cross the express by a bike and ran over by an incoming car that drove off immediately, leaving the man unconscious on the floor on Monday. The victim was in critical condition as at the time Superscreen youth got to the screen, while men of the Lagos State Emergency Service can be seen rendering first aid services to him. Responding to witness the accident gave an eyewitness account.
What happened was that the victim was trying to cross the express, not using the pedestrian bridge. So as he was trying to cross, there was a motorbike that hit the man while he was trying to cross. The motorbike and the car ran away. So the man was there lying down on the road. He rallied around him just to make sure that the man is still alive. They tried to resuscitate him there, and he's recuperating, he's responding to treatment.
What I noticed was they were carrying an elderly man, rushing him to the police station, and I had to find out what happened. I learned that he was being knocked down by a power bike, and the power bike did not wait. The power bike drove off.
I think the man was coming from traveling, so he was carrying a gari with a traveling bag. So as he was crossing the express, I think he has beat the trailer, the long trailer. So the next distance to catch for the bike. So the bike just hit him.
They also spoke on the need to utilize the pedestrian bridge, which coincidentally was just a few meters away from the scene of the accident.
There's actually a bridge. I don't think anybody should be crossing the road because there's a bridge. Though the bridge is kind of stressful, you climbing due to the way the construction was being done, but there is a bridge. Nigerians should learn how to use the pedestrian bridge.
Nigerian people are too stubborn. I don't know, because I don't know who. Every time they know there's a barbed wire here, they always call the barbed wire. We don't know who. Responsible for that. So maybe they should place a policeman or anybody just to watch over this area.
The bridge here is an old bridge. Maybe the government can help us to modernize the bridge so that it will be easily accessible for pedestrians to cross the express. What was done at Odudubega, if they could do the replica here, it will go a long way to save souls and lives.
I would tell people that this express is not good for crossing. It's not okay at all. Because some cars are there that they will be coming, they will just put on a one light. So they won't know maybe it's a car or a bike. The iron is not fit here. Because all these area boys, all these stout boys, they always break the iron. And when they break the iron, people will start crossing the express. What may I suggest is that maybe they should do the one they did at Mile 12. The rock on, the one they did at Mile 12. Maybe they should put it here because this place is not easy. It's not easy at all.
Now, following the recent protest by street sweepers in Benin City over non-payment of 6-month salaries, the Edo State government has reiterated its commitment to redouble efforts at sustaining waste management in the state.
The renewed effort by the state government with the local government, collaboration with the private sector, is to enforce with vigor all the laws that will make our environment safe for all of us.
To ensure that the people live in a very healthy environment. Like I have promised the market women, we are trying to evacuate.
Move to the next story. Don't take charge too. Don't take charge too.
So that there will be conducive environment for buying and selling.
The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, says the death toll from Lassa fever disease ravaging the country as beginning of the year has risen to 101. The health agency report as of April says a total of 408 cases of the disease have been confirmed from 20 states where the disease has been active. Among the states, Edo, Ondo, and Ebonyi states topped the chart with the highest reported cases. The federal government, through the Ministry of Education, Adamu, says it has constituted a 16-man committee to screen over 400,000 degrees claimed to have been obtained from Nigerian students who studied in foreign institutions. The Minister of Education, Adamu, who inaugurated the committee in Abuja, said the screening by the committee is necessary to detect cases of fake foreign degrees obtained, particularly from substandard institutions in Africa and beyond. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated elder statesman and legal luminary Ayo Adebanjo on his 90th birthday. The president, in a message by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, joined family members, friends and professional colleagues in celebrating the elder statesman. The president, who noted with delight that Adebanjo had clocked 90 years, believes the politician and lawyer had contributed to national development through his profession and commitment to nation building. You're watching Superscreen News at 6. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll take some business stories. Stay with us. Welcome back, and now for some business stories. The Group Executive Director, Finance and Accounts of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Isiaka Abdulrazak, says the corporation made a trading profit of 250 billion naira in 2016. Abdulrazak, who disclosed this in a quarterly publication of the NNPC, said his office inherited 65 unaudited financial statements between 2011 and 2014. He said though there were challenges which led to the backlog, a project steering committee chaired by himself was constituted to meet with auditors and all relevant stakeholders to identify and isolate key challenges and give them proper attention. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, has announced that the Transmission Company of Nigeria and the Niger Company of Delta Power Holding Company was set to inaugurate over 190 electricity transmissions and distribution projects across the country in a few weeks. Fashola said the federal government is investing in the expansion of the transmission capacity through the TCN by building more substations and expanding existing ones. Civil society and community-based organization has urged President Muhammadu Buhari not to sign the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill into law as passed by the National Assembly. In a statement made available to journalists in Abuja, the CSOS said there were inherent gaps and dangers in the moves to sign the PIGB into law, as it was fraught with defects in the areas of environmental protection for the people. The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC Executive Vice Chairman Professor Umaru Dambata says MTN Nigerian Communications has so far paid 165 billion naira out of the 330 billion imposed on him. Dambata disclosed this while hosting some MTN directors who paid him a courtesy visit in Abuja after a board strategy meeting. He said the National Frequency Management Council has decided the firm should retain the controversial frequency it acquired from the National Broadcasting Commission for 30 billion naira. You're watching Superscreen News at 6. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll take some foreign stories and some sports news. Stay with us.